Hey everyone, this is Torn Apathy here with another anime review and Goblin Slayer episode 2 called Goblin Slayer. It is officially out. I just finished watching it and it is amazing. I love what they're doing with the series. It is pretty much like the light novel in extent where it's very um, based off of that. The major differences that you'll see between those two and this is, of course, it's going to incorporate more information in a course of a shorter amount of time frame, which is always nice, as well as you'll see more probably overall interaction with things with other people that you might not necessarily have seen in the light novel. This episode introduces Cowgirl, or Farm Girl, depending on who you are and how you want to say her name. She is friends, childhood friends with Goblin Slayer, so you get her information. It also is a backstory episode on why Goblin Slayer is the way he is. Um, it showed, of course, why he is who he is and what he is, which was, of course, you know, you understand the premises behind um, the novel itself and why it's going to be graphic within the first 10 seconds to 30 seconds of the guild girl, which is her name, the receptionist at the guild hall. There's a gentleman there saying, "Hey, we need an adventurer to come in and kill goblins," and even specifies like the goblins will come in, rape, murder, and eat the victims. And she says, "Yeah, it happens," you know. So for the people who are sitting there saying, um, this series is gratuitous and blah blah blah, uh, first of all, it's necessary to the story. Like if you're just watching a kitty poof, nothing happened, you'd be like, well, why all of a sudden is there a guy being shot in the head? Yeah, of course, that's gratuitous. That's just unnecessary. But this is part of the real world, their real world. So it's not unnecessary by any stretch of the imagination. It's not over the top. It's not like they're regularly showing extreme forms of nudity or anything like that. Um, they're trying to depict horrible things in a tactful way, which is again, it's trying to, which you can't necessarily do, right? You can't make something horrible less horrible by trying to make it tactful, right? So the series is, I think, doing an amazing job of what it's trying to be, honing to the light novels. I've read up to light novel 4. I'm going to try and read light novel 5 here in the next week or so, after I finish volume 9 of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? With that being said, as the later volumes, as you read more into the light novel, and I'm assuming, so don't hold me accountable for this, but I'm thinking you'll see less of the the rape aspect and more of the violence aspect, because that's never going to go away. It's an action fantasy, dark fantasy series, so action will never go away. But in the light novel itself, it tends to tone down as it goes further on. Again, I'm only up to volume 5 right now, and I haven't read volume 5, but I've noticed in 3 and 4 it was toned down a lot more so. But I'm hoping to find out more in volume 5, and then I can make that decision from there. Sorry about the lighting quality. My webcam is Garbaggio, so please bear with me on that avenue. Hopefully the audio is good. With that being said, I would always recommend this series if you are open to different viewpoints, also action and essentially adult content. If you are against any of those things, don't watch this series for the love of sweet baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Do not pick this series up. You'll absolutely hate it. It'll be the worst thing you've ever done for yourself. And if you want to be informed and make educated decisions, watch a whole bunch of reviews on it. Watch episode 1. Give yourself an idea, and that will tell you right away if it's a series for you or not. You'll know. You'll know within the first 5-10 minutes. So, but I think it's great. I think the animation is fantastic. I think the voice acting is amazing. The introduction of characters are on par with where they should be. I think going from episode 1, which is pretty much like just like they did with the light novel, they introduce Goblin Slayer. He goes into the cave, kills all the goblins, rescues apprentice priest. Priestess saves her life, comes back, she joins him. Then later on within Volume 1, they explain why he does the things he does. His village was ransacked by goblins, everyone was murdered, raped, pillaged. The only 2 survivors were Goblin Slayer and Cowgirl. So you have to take that into mind of why he does the things that he does and who he is overall. The only thing I didn't necessarily like in this is that they said that he's lost his mind. He's gone over the edge with it, like being so obsessed about it. And I think that's a little bit over the top, per se, because if you think about it, if there was someone out there or something out there that just completely destroyed your life, your existence as you knew it, and you were a child, essentially there's no way that you're going to harbor anything but hatred for those creatures. And in some circumstances, some people would go you'd have 2 extremes, right? You'd have people who would go completely left of center, where they would seal themselves off from the world, go into the monastery, become a monk, whatever, and just completely have any devoid interaction with anybody because they would never want to build those connections again, and they would never want to be faced with what is being done. Then you have the other extreme, which is the Goblin Slayer extreme, right? Where he goes all the way to the right, where he's like, no, we're just going to eradicate all of them. They do not deserve to exist. There's no reason for them to exist. They should not exist. Like, they're worse than any other creature, demon, anything in this world because of what they do. So you have those 2 extremes, and then what you have in the middle is more your atypical adventure, right? Goblins are weak, they're beginner monsters. I killed one when I was just starting. I don't need to worry about them. So you have these huge variables, right? You have the person who is extremely informed on the right hand side, who has gone way above and beyond with what most people would consider rationale thinking. You have the people who are still like, oh no, they're just goblins. And then you have the people who can't deal with that rationale, right? Who can't deal with their reality anymore. So for the uncle, that's who it is the uncle. To say that he's gone over the deep end, uh, I think it's a far set of about what as human characteristics. Like, this story is amazingly good on human characteristics and what people would do and what they don't do, especially if they don't understand. Like, to him, he doesn't understand the necessity for an adventurer like himself, who is a silver rank, to continuously go after goblins, and just that's all he does, right? He doesn't have the foresight. He understands what happens, but he doesn't have the foresight to see that it's a pest and it needs to be eradicated. Then you have people who are like the young adventurers who go into these goblins' caves, like the 3 that they show first episode and even in the second episode. The first ones, they don't come back. Only one person comes back. The second episode, they all 3 come back. So, but if you look at them, they're all worse for wear. Their bodies, they're happy that they survived. They lived through it. They did it. But you can tell that they were not prepared for what they were going up against. They just got lucky, essentially is what it comes down to. And he even says it. He has this whole big monologue in episode 2 that I really enjoyed, explaining why he is and what he is to the goblins. He is a goblin to the goblins is what he says, which is an amazing quote, right? Because he says specifically, um, if we kill all the goblins besides the children will come back and they'll get stronger. They show the image of the hobgoblin or bodyguard. That's what they do. They get stronger. They get smarter. They go into these other nests and become either their kings or the bodyguards and things like that because they learn to adapt well. Because goblins themselves are not stupid creatures by any sense in the series. So with that being said, there are no survivors for him because he knows what's going to happen. He's seen it too many times. He knows the instincts behind it. They're going to come back and be better, stronger, worse for humanity. So he calls himself a goblin to goblins, which means that he uses every little bit of advantage and knowledge that he gains every single time to do more and more and kill them more efficiently. Everything about him is efficiency and killing goblins. That's why I call him Goblin Slayer. You also get introduced to Spear Man, which is obviously the guy who got shoved down, who was talking with a receptionist girl, guild girl. You also get introduced to his partner, which was I think they call her Witch Girl. So that's the other thing is in this series you don't have names. Nobody is named for whatever reason. The creator did not give them names. He just gave them classifications of who they are, and that's it. Like witch girl, cowgirl, apprentice, source, priestess, Goblin Slayer is like one of the only official names, and I say that loosely. It's more like who he is, but he's not like the other ones, Spearman or Spear Guy, um, Heavy Tank Guy. Like you'll be introduced to him later on in the series. Novice Swordsman, Novice. Uh, I think she's priest as well. Novice Priestess. I mean, very generic ranking names overall. So that's the other great thing about this series is like you only have to know one real name, and that's Goblin Slayer. Everybody else is sort of just very evenly killed name, and they, their name is what they do. And I think it may in aspect be what Goblin Slayer views it as. Like this is more like a forethought of himself because he knows one person, two technically. He knows Cowgirl and the uncle, right? And I'm going much further in, but it all ties in because you get this idea of who he is, right, at the beginning. He doesn't care about anybody else's information because he doesn't want to have to go through with the past anymore because his only resolve is to protect Cowgirl and where he lives, and that is it. And then exterminate goblins, right? Those are his things. Everything else out there is just, okay, who are you? Why should I know you? No, okay. And you can see his interactions very bleak and I hate this emotionless. They're emotionless things. Like he is 100% about efficiency, man of very few words. If whatever the easiest way to kill something goblins are is what he's going to do. So with that being said, the series to me is a 8.5 out of 9 all day. I love where it's going. I can't wait to see episode 3 next week. This did go over what I wanted to, so I did go over a lot of information. So I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know in the comments below if you want more information, want me to do another long one of these after episode 3, or what you'd like to see me review afterwards. I was asked to do a review of Dragon Ball Z Abridged last night by Connor, which I did. I watched it last night. I'm going to watch it again this evening and do a review of that. So that will be expected. It was pretty humorous. So, with that being said, um, this evening, oh no, tomorrow will be Ulysses as well, which I'm looking forward to because I want to see where that goes. So look forward to that review. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button. Every Friday at around 8, 9 o'clock, I will be doing a gaming anime talk session where I'll be talking about all the animes that I watched over the week, how I felt the series are, and where I hope they go with them for things I'm not familiar with, and where I hope to see them go if they're series that I'm familiar with. So with that being said, thank you so much and look forward to seeing you guys next time.